thank you all for coming on this gorgeous day. I'm Sandy Schweitzer, Executive Director of Triangle Land Conservancy, and I want to thank you all for being here, but I also want to start by thanking Mayor Marshburn and Garner's Town Council members for their vision, for making sure that this sensitive natural area here, over there, and behind me are protected. I want to give a special thanks to Rodney Dickerson and Terry Jones and all the other incredible staff at the Town of Garner who put the vision into action. Rodney, I want to invite you and Ken to come on up and say a few words.
All right. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon to recognize this the importance of land and water preservation and the role that it plays in a growing society. This partnership and land acquisition means a lot to me personally, primarily because I know the Liles. I know the family, and I worked with Martha a few years early on in my career when she was in the HR department. And I got to know her and Robert much better over the last couple of years as we worked out the particulars of this land purchase. Over the last couple of years, I enjoyed sharing photos and stories with Martha and Robert. Martha shared photos of two eagles sitting on a dead tree that's since not there anymore, I guess it fell, and the fox peeking over some of the logs, photos that I've replicated with my camera, as you can see on the program. I had the pleasure of walking all the properties with Robert as he told me stories, like the height of the water in Swift Creek when the hurricanes came through. He also showed me an in-ground hornet's nest that had been dug up by some creature that was probably eating them, and a stick that had been chewed on by beavers. I had never seen that before, so just never know what you're going to find when you walk through a property such as this. Through our discussions, we realized that we all shared a love of fishing, although I don't go as much as I'd like to. Some of you may know that I am a hobbyist photographer and enjoy doing some wildlife and nature photography. On several occasions, I have walked this property and the 92 acres plus across the street, and it is awesome how it is bordered by Swift Creek, the scenic wetlands, a nice stand of forest, pasture, and historic structures, excuse me, all next to a lake. TLC, what more could you ask for in a property in a conservation project? From time to time, I eat lunch on the property and look for opportunities to take more photos. So let me take you on a brief journey. Just had the most wonderful wildlife experience eating lunch at the farm. Parked near the gate to watch the fox from a distance. Got out of my car to get binoculars, and a big hawk in a big tree about 20 yards behind me flew away. It had a huge wingspan. A deer ran across the field as I looked in the distance. A heron flew right over my head about 30 yards above, close enough that I was hoping it didn't poop on me. Looked in the woods, saw something prowling up a big tree limb. I thought it was a cat or a bobcat. I didn't have my camera out, but grabbed it as quickly as I could. It was a raccoon stalking a bird's nest, I believe. Looked back over at the fox, and it had something in its mouth. I couldn't tell what it was because it was too far away, but I believe I see evidence that she is a girl, and we may have pups pretty soon. What a great lunch. So this actually happened to me one day when I was out here. I was standing in the back there, and all of those wildlife experiences happened within a matter of minutes, which is, to me, is incredible because I didn't expect any of that. And I can prove it happened because I sent Martha the text telling her about it. So hopefully this lets you know how special this property is. I want to thank the Liles family for giving the Town of Garner the opportunity to own this farm and property that means so much to her and her family since her childhood. I want to thank the Triangle Land Conservancy, Sandy, Leanne, Brenna, and others for establishing this partnership and entrusting the Town of Garner as stewards of this wonderful collection of properties. I also want to thank the North Carolina Land and Water Fund for approving the application and providing the funding to make this transaction happen. And of course, the Garner Town Council for their support when staff originally brought this proposal to them. So as you can see, it took a lot of hands, a lot of thought, a lot of funding, a lot of people just coming together to make this happen. And we just thank the part that each and everyone here had some part in it. And so we really thank you. So next I'll call up Mayor Ken Marshburn for remarks.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Town Manager. Those of you who don't know Rodney so well, he talked about his photography. I should mention that this year at the State Fair, he had a photograph there that I believe won a red ribbon. That's second place. Is that right, Rodney? So, yeah, I was out there and saw it. Yeah, very nice. Okay. And just on a personal note, I've shared with a few people, this place sort of has a special meaning for me and my family because my only daughter, who now lives in Colorado, was married at another location, and she chose to use this place for her wedding reception. So I think I got this right. I think that was 2009. If my wife were here, she could prompt me. Is that right, Miss Liles? Sound right? And I believe maybe we had the first privilege of using this. Is that right? And I'm not sure we left it in such good shape when we finished, but okay. Well, thank you so much. And it was a lovely evening and a wonderful place for a gathering like that. So as Rodney said, I am the Garner Mayor, Ken Marshburn, and it's really my great pleasure and honor to be here with you today to celebrate this latest land acquisition. It's part of the town's long-standing commitment to the conservation of critical natural and historic resources within our boundaries. I want to start by acknowledging some of our townspeople who are here today. I believe we have one council member. That's Mr. Phil Matthews, seated right over here. Thank you, Phil. I don't believe I saw any other council members. Also seated beside him is our town attorney, Ms. Terry Jones. Good to see her. And let's see, behind her, if I get everybody right, is our Miss Maria, who is our Parks and Rec director. Oh, now that I look, there's a lot of people I may have. Let's see, there's Jody Miller, Assistant Town Manager, and let me see, beside you is, yes, okay, with the Parks and Rec as well, okay. Who did I miss? Oh, yeah, and most important, forgive me, as most of you all know, my term as mayor is almost over. So the gentleman sitting right behind Phil, Mr. Buddy Gupton, is your new mayor. He is scheduled to be sworn into that office on next Tuesday evening, I believe. So if you're in town and would like to come to that very important occasion, please come out for that if you will. I'd like to thank, of course, our current town council and previous councils that I've had a privilege of serving on for setting a vision for Garner that prioritizes conservation of open space and historic properties, including the land we are gathered on in this beautiful historic home site right beside us. The town is grateful to the Triangle Land Conservancy for purchasing these 93 acres on the east side of the road behind me and for deciding to transfer the property to the town to own and manage. On behalf of the town, I also want to thank the North Carolina Land and Water Fund for its matching grant of more than $784,000 to support this land purchase. Your generous contribution helped to close the deal. And finally, I want to extend a very heartfelt thanks to the Liles family, Martha and Robert, a fine couple that my wife and I have had the privilege of knowing over the years. It's an honor for the town to be able to assume stewardship of this land and of this beautiful historic home beside us. We understand this property's importance to you, and we understand its central role in your family's history. We are humbled that we will have the opportunity to care for this property and eventually share it with many generations of visitors to come. The town, I promise you, will do everything in its power to make your family proud to have partnered with us to protect and conserve these natural and historic treasures. The acquisition of the 93 acres behind me builds on two previous land acquisitions by the Triangle Land Conservancy, one in 2016 and then the town in 2021 to create a continuous swath of 165 acres of protected land along Lake Benson and Swift Creek. This assemblage of property will help preserve clean drinking water in Lake Benson, and it will protect habitat for several rare aquatic species. The town plans to open this newly acquired property to the public as a nature preserve with walking trails sometime in the future. I hope that future is not too far away. I'd love to walk on it myself. The land also may eventually provide access to a proposed greenway trail that would connect Lake Benson and Lake Wheeler. That'd be great. That should happen. In addition, the land is walking distance from Rand Road Elementary School and from the VA outpatient clinic currently under construction. And given this location, the property could offer opportunities for environmental education for students and therapeutic experiences in nature for veterans and their families. I alluded to the town's vision and our history of conservation. 30 years ago, we opened Lake Benson Park on what had been farmland. In the years earlier, we acquired land that previously had been set aside for a stormwater project and converted it into the much-loved White Deer Park. How many of you have been to our White Deer Park? Several of you. Okay, it's a lovely place right across the street from Lake Benson. And just a few years ago, we were able to partner with another nonprofit to acquire more than 86 acres of undeveloped wetlands and open space near U.S. Highway 401. We know as a Boylan property, I believe. Partnerships often make these efforts possible, and today we celebrate another successful partnership as well as a shared vision that has made the conservation of this land a reality for countless generations to come. And so with that, I want to thank you all for being here today and to help us celebrate this really momentous event in our town's history. And let me take this as an opportunity to wish you all the best during the holiday season and in the coming year. And I guess it's appropriate to say Merry Christmas to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your remarks and for making my speech much shorter because you said so many of the things I was going to say. So Triangle Land Conservancy is a nonprofit land trust, and our mission is to create a healthier and more vibrant triangle. We do this by protecting for 4 benefits for the public of conservation. This project represents all 4 of those benefits: safeguarding clean water, protecting natural habitats, supporting local farms and food, and connecting people with nature. And we do this through land protection and stewardship, catalyzing community action and collaboration. And this project is an excellent example of the kind of collaboration that it takes. And everybody who's been involved in this project knows that collaboration is such a great word. We all want to do it, and it takes a lot of time and patience to make happen. We are really thrilled to be a part of this collaboration. And I'm going to skip a few of my comments because they've already been stated, but I want to emphasize that this property is really important in safeguarding water quality. Lake Benson provides water not just for the town of Garner and surrounding communities, but also the city of Raleigh. And this property is one of the largest remaining floodplains and upland tracts in the Swift Creek Basin. And it, as he said, is the site of significance containing 6 rare mussel species. And I won't bore you with all the names, but my 2 favorite are the Atlantic pigtoe and the dwarf wedge mussel. And in fact, because of these species, the North Carolina Natural Heritage Program has designated Swift Creek aquatic habitat as an exceptional natural area. So yay for protecting it. This project will buffer Swift Creek from development and sedimentation and other impacts that would degrade the habitat, and will help ensure that this area continues to provide refuge for those imperiled species. Altogether, this project will protect over 2 miles of stream. If you look at the picture, you can see all of the streams and headwaters coming through this property. And we are really excited about the connection that it will someday have to the town of Cary and Raleigh Greenway systems. And I think it really takes a vision to conserve properties that we may not get to enjoy. It could be a while before all those things happen, but we are really laying the groundwork for the future. This last 93 acres that we were able to purchase was because of funding from the North Carolina Land and Water Fund. This fund is one of the main sources for land protection projects across the state. We're lucky because they're nearby, so happy to have Executive Director Will Summer here and Acquisition Project Manager Marie Meckman. Will, do you want to say a few words?
Excellent. Well, following in on Sandy's lead, everybody has said many of the things I want to say. This is great. I should always be scheduled at this position. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. As Sandy said, I'm here on behalf of the North Carolina Land and Water Fund, one of the partners that came together to make this project possible. Before I get started, I would like to recognize one of my acquisition team members, Marie Meckman, in the audience. Without Marie's help, we wouldn't be able to get to the finish line for our part of this project. So I'm excited to have her with me to help celebrate. Over our 26-year history, the North Carolina Land and Water Fund has granted over $40 million here in Wake County. That includes things like TLC Williamson Preserve, additions to Clemens Educational State Forest, which are on the Wake County side of that forest, and now this property here. Wish I could take credit for it, but this is actually all your money. We're just here to ensure that it's spent well. But you should thank the Governor and General Assembly for their generous support of conservation in recent years. In the budget that recently passed, our recurring funding was increased to $28 million annually, which means that we have the capacity to do more projects like this all over the state. So if you think this project is worthwhile, please feel free to let your elected officials know. So here we are, in the middle of 133 acres that will soon be managed by Garner to provide their rapidly growing population with opportunities to explore the outdoors. Many will come to hike, walk on the greenway, have a picnic, enjoy the historic home and landscape, take in an educational program perhaps sometime in the future, or maybe just to get outside and get a little elbow room. And as much as we love our families, the one thing that COVID taught us all is that we need a little time outdoors for some space of our own for our sanity and our health. So, and even those that may not set foot out here are still going to benefit. As others mentioned, this property will help protect drinking water in Lake Benson. It also protects the excellent aquatic habitat, which contains the Atlantic pigtoe, the triangle floater, the Roanoke slab shell, and a whole lot of other things with made-up sounding names. So, on behalf of the North Carolina Land and Water Fund staff and trustees, I'd like to thank the Triangle Land Conservancy, the Town of Garner, the Liles family, the Governor and General Assembly for making it possible for us to be a part of this awesome project. Really happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. We are really proud to partner with the Town of Garner on this project and looking forward to continuing this collaboration to eventually extend trails and passive recreation opportunities onto TLC's neighboring tract. As I said before, projects like this are incredibly complicated, so I'd like to give special thanks to TLC's Manager of Land Protection East, Brenda Thompson, who took over the management of this project on her first week on the job 3 years ago. And has patiently worked through all of the hurdles that it has taken to get here. I also want to thank Leanne Hammerbacher, who initiated this project for TLC many years ago. And Leanne often has these visions that I cannot comprehend. So when we were walking on those 40 acres back in 2016, she was talking about this larger landscape and working with the town, and I was like, sure, okay, whatever. And here we are today, so I really want to give a shout out to Leanne for that. And I also want to recognize a couple TLC board members who are here. Our board chair, Marlena Byrne, Jack Blackmer, TLC board member, is here, along with a couple other staff and supporters of TLC. So finally, I want to thank Martha and Robert Liles. We can only do our work to conserve land if there are willing and patient landowners. TLC has been working with the Liles since 2014. and we're very excited to carry on the tradition and the vision and the beauty of this place. And we just cannot thank you enough and your entire family for your commitment to conservation. Thank you so much. Would either of you like to say anything? We'd welcome you to come say a few words.
Good afternoon. As has already been mentioned, today is really a culmination of many days for about 10 years, I think. I was looking back at that too. We actually, the 2016 sale of the first 40 acres was about this time of year. So with all that, to get to this point, and people ask me often, why did you do this? You know, how did you decide that you would do this? I was asked that today as I arrived. I would say that any of you who grew up on a farm know that you're taught to work the land and love the land, and so that's pretty typical, I think. What may not be typical is I was taught by my parents to share the land, and they loved sharing. And there are a few of you here who knew them and were recipients of that generosity and that hospitality that they shared. There were many different ways that this property was opened up to people through the years. Anything from giving away fresh vegetables to having school groups on a trip to thousands of people going through these Christmas trees and picking out their family's Christmas tree. So that's kind of the difference, I think, is that sharing that was modeled for me, and that was really mine and Robert's motivation when we began the plans in the early 2000s, and which culminated in the opening of this venue in 2009. So with that history, it makes sense to me that you want to figure out a way to keep sharing this and to protect the beauty of it. I walk regularly at Lake Benson Park and White Deer Park, and I see our mayor lots of days, and both of them. I see both of them around, as well as others of you probably. During COVID particularly, and as I learned more about TLC, we branched out and started going to a number of their preserves and properties. And so I've been a regular visitor to our parks and preserves and have enjoyed it. And as Robert and I approached time when we wanted to retire, on those walks I would think about where I was and how, gee, there needs to be more of these places. And that it kind of all came together, I guess, and how lucky we were that the Town of Garner and TLC were in agreement with us. I do want to thank all of those involved, from the fine folks at Garner and TLC, particularly Brenna, Leanne, and Rodney, who have been our main contacts. Lots of phone calls, lots of adjustments, and we have a little thing to work through here. We have a little more of a delay, but we're here, and it's a great day, and I'm glad that you're all here. Thanks.
Yes. I wanted to give you a couple plaques that
Great.
for the property. I'm not sure if I should give them to you or to the
Probably
Town of
need
Garner.
to give them to them.
But anyway,
Yeah,
a TLC conserved property,
Right.
A plaque from the Land and Water Fund, and then we also have some gifts that I guess these are really for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go.
There you go.
Yeah.